Welcome to This Week in Health IT News, where we look at as many stories as we can in 23 minutes or less that is going to impact health IT. My name is Bill Russell, healthcare CIO coach and creator of This Week in Health IT, a set of podcasts and videos dedicated to developing the next generation of health leaders. It's Tuesday News Day, and we have a lot to talk about. A bunch of stories. Healthcare leaders urge full court press on social determinants. Banner Health agrees to pay $6 million settlement over the 2016 breach. We'll talk about that. AMA, Walmart going toe-to-toe on some stuff. Value-based care is not moving as fast as what people think based on a report that was done. HHS on cybersecurity. John Halomka spoke at a security conference, talked about some of the holes in machine learning and AI. We'll touch on that a little bit. Interesting use case, Boston Children's for AI, and we'll hit on that. VA launches national artificial intelligence. We have two articles. One's predictions for 2020. I thought it was really well done, so I'm going to hit on those real quick for you. And then our friends at Starbridge Advisors, David Muntz, wrote a really good piece on the 10 steps to prepare for 2020. This is a really practical piece on how healthcare technology professionals, health IT professionals, can prepare for 2020. And I wanted to share that with you as well. So before we get into the news, brief word about our sponsors. I want you to know that I only sponsor organizations and services that I really believe in. Their leadership, I believe in their products, I believe in the value that they bring to healthcare, and it's the reason that I choose to have them as sponsors. And I want to have sponsors that I believe in so that I can recommend them wholeheartedly to you and know that what you're going to get is a great experience and a great product. And today I'm excited to announce a new sponsor in Health Catalyst. And in the digital age, cloud computing is an essential part of more effective healthcare and precision medicine, but healthcare organizations themselves are still facing challenges in migrating to the cloud. Currently, only 8% of EHR data needed for precision medicine and population health is being effectively captured and used. And so Health Catalyst has written this article and has written this white paper, and I just want to call your attention to it. And it talks about how Health Catalyst data platform brings healthcare organizations the benefit of a more flexible cloud computing infrastructure in the cloud. And you can get to that white paper by visiting thisweekhealth.com/healthcatalyst, and it'll redirect you to a site where you can download this white paper. It is it's actually an ebook more than a white paper on how to accelerate your use of data in the delivery of healthcare and precision medicine. And I highly recommend the ebook. It is really well written and has a lot of really good information. If you're looking to utilize the cloud and the benefits of the cloud and getting your data out into the cloud, I think this is a must read for any healthcare IT professional. We also want to thank our founding channel sponsors who make this content possible, Health Lyrics and VMware. If you want to be a part of our mission to develop health leaders, go to thisweekhealth.com/sponsor for more information. Here's our schedule through the end of the year. Friday shows will not stop for the holidays. We're going to do them straight through HIMSS. We're going to have shows for you. I took a 3-week break last year. My way of taking a break this year is I've already recorded all the shows for January, so I am going to take a break in January, but I have the shows already recorded for you. This is the last Tuesday News Day episode between now and the end of the year. I will kick those off again come January. And you'll look forward to our normal Tuesday, Friday schedule as normal. We are going to be doing 2 episodes I want to call your attention to. One is our year in review, which is where I highlight some of what I think were some of the key learnings for me. I find that the more I do this show, the smarter I get because I'm interviewing such great people. And I want to pull out some of those and highlight those. And then the other is just a flat out Nielsen rating, top 10. So there are the 10 most listened to podcasts for the year, and I'm going to pull out an excerpt from each one and share them with you and do sort of a countdown episode so you can see which one is the number one show. The last thing I want to call your attention to, really important, thisweekhealth.com/survey. This is our 2019 survey. In 2018, we did a survey, and you guys completely reshaped the show, and I really appreciate that feedback. I really need you to hit thisweekhealth.com/survey and provide me your input for next year. We have a lot of ideas floating around. I have a team of people I work with. I have a team of advisors as well Sarah Richardson is part of that. David Benzema is part of that. So I have healthcare professionals who are helping me to think it through. I also have a team of my millennial consultants, as I call them, who are helping me with this whole social media and YouTube and bringing all this stuff together. But I really want your voice to be heard. I want to know what is resonating with you, what is not resonating with you. I want to bring that into the conversation to make sure that we do something special for 2020. Okay, and finally, I know we're almost there at the news. I just want to keep doing this because it is such a great service. Quick shout out to Drex4's new service, 3X Drex, where you get 3 stories texted to you 3 days a week. To sign up, Drex to 484848. Just text Drex to 484848, as I have done, and you get to see these stories delivered straight to your phone. You can click on them and see what Drex thinks is important. And some of them are important because I keep pulling them up as my stories, which is awesome. And right now, we are doing a little different format based on your feedback. We have 100% approval rating for the new format, so we're going to continue to do it. But essentially what I'm doing is I go through the 10, today's 12. Anyway, I'll go through the 10 stories. I'll just give you my take on it real quick, then we'll circle back and go deeper in on some of those stories. So here we go. Healthcare leaders urge full court press on social determinants of health. Here's the so what on this. Healthcare is not incented to do social determinants of health, other than from a mission standpoint. Faith-based organizations and organizations that are committed to the care of the community and those that are really supported philanthropically have sort of an ethical imperative to work with social determinants. But at the end of the day, healthcare gets paid when you're sick. It's still sick care. It's still helping you once you get to that point where you need your health restored. So I think this push is great. I just don't think it's going to go anywhere until the money starts to change. The people who are incented for this is payer organizations. And so the healthcare organizations that are doing the most around this, you're going to hear, are mostly payer organizations, right? So Intermountain's doing a bunch around this. Kaiser's doing a bunch around this. Geisinger's doing a bunch around this. And so what do the 3 of them have in common? They have a strong payer organization. They have an insurance organization. They're incented to keep people healthy. They get paid whether people are healthy or sick. And those are the kind of organizations. I think the people who are going to make the biggest move in this space are going to be health tech. When you think about the large health tech players, it's Amazon and Google. It's why I keep talking about them. I know I've gotten some feedback from people saying, hey, you're talking too much about Amazon and Google. I practically don't know what to do that within health IT. The reason I do it is because they have some interesting new ways of looking at things. And when you think about the literally billion searches a day around health that Google gets, and their ability to aggregate services and to present them in such a way, they are going to have a really interesting play when it comes to social determinants of health, and as well as Amazon. And that's why I keep that in the back of my mind. So while I appreciate healthcare leaders urging a full court press on social determinants, I only see a handful of them doing it, and the ones I see doing it are predominantly ones with an insurance component. And the so what for health IT is understand the organization you work for and how they get compensated, because that will determine the priorities of the organization. So as much as they're maybe chattering about social determinants, they still, no money, no mission. You still have to focus in on the things that bring money into the organization. Hate to be as crass as that, but it's just the reality. Second story, Banner Health agrees $6 million settlement over the 2016 breach. We'll come back with the details on this. I think it's 3 million patient records. Actually, we'll skip the details on it. 3 million patient records were breached back in 2016. They've agreed it's capped at 6 million. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to pay 6 million, but they're capped at 6 million. The somewhat on this is the foundation for digital. The foundation for digital is trust. The foundation for business is trust, and people expect you to have a good cybersecurity platform in place. Now that's like a no duh kind of so what. So I'll give you the next level. So what is we have to be able to tell this story effectively within our organization. We have to educate the board, the subcommittees of the board, the leadership teams. We have to identify the right mix, right? So are we going to be the organization that is the most secure because we're spending $20 million a year on it? Or are we going to be an organization that has found that balance between spending, trying to be the DoD and really doing what we can to protect our patients. So you got to find that right mix, but more importantly, you have to be able to tell the story effectively around cybersecurity. And we're going to continue. In fact, I think one of the shows we're doing towards the end of this year is around cybersecurity and telling that story effectively. The AMA asked Walmart to reconsider its January EPCS requirement. I'm going to give you the so what on this. So this is e-prescribing of opioids and those kind of things, and Walmart saying, hey, you know what, in order for us to get ahead of this thing, we need it all to be electronic. And the AMA is stepping back because only 30 some odd % of the prescriptions today are electronic. And this is the second time that the AMA is and others, AHA, AMA, are stepping up and fighting on behalf of health systems, but they're fighting in a way that makes us look incompetent, right? We can't do this. We only have 36% of the prescriptions coming in electronically, or the AHA fighting against transparency because it's just too hard to do. I think the reality is, in an election year, we have to be really sensitive to these topics and how they're being portrayed out in the marketplace. The so what for IT is, for the love of heaven, get ahead of this stuff. Your platform should be agile. You should be able to implement this stuff. You should be able to find the funding to do electronic prescriptions. This is like basic blocking and tackling across your health system. Get the basics done. Build it on top of platform thinking, platform technologies, so that you're ready for the next one. Because this is last year's problem. There's going to be a whole new set of this year's problems that we need to be agile and effective in order to go after. Catalyst for platform reform finds value-based healthcare not moving quickly enough. I highlight this story, not to go into detail on it, but to just say that value-based care is the future, but it is moving slowly, so we continue to be fee-for-service. Just keep that in mind as you're building budgets. It's an important distinction. HHS Cybersecurity leaders describe the active threats on the agency's radar. I will circle back to this. This is really interesting. They go into depth. They go into a lot of detail on this. And it's a really good article. So it's a healthcare IT news article. I will come back to that. So remind me on that. Number 5, I'm going to come back to. Machine learning, AI, telemedicine, and other technologies will pose data security risks, says Dr. John Halamka, Healthcare Finance News. So John spoke at a cybersecurity conference, and he talked about the risk of aggregating all of our data in the cloud. What's interesting about this is, John talked about the risk of aggregating in the cloud, and so all of you who are cloud phobic right now are saying, yes, John, all right, how to fight. And then John goes on to make the point that that these cloud providers have hundreds of people on their security staff looking at minute details around security, and we have like a handful. And he then makes the point of, where do you think hackers are going to go to try to find that data? Do you think they're going to try to go at Fort Knox, or do you think they're going to go after the cardboard box? And the answer is they're going to go after the cardboard box. So he believes, as I do, that the cloud is actually more secure. We still have to write our contracts correctly. We still have to architect. Architecture still matters in the cloud, but he makes that point that as we're building out these models, cybersecurity and security has to be at the foundation of it. Of course, he's speaking at a security conference, so it makes sense that was the thrust of that conversation. Machine learning, AI, telemedicine. Oh, that's John's number 6. Number 7, a different use case for AI. Boston Children's explores automating patient-provider communication. I will come back to this story because it's really interesting and they do a good job. One of the things as we look at AI in the clinical setting is going to move slow. It's sort of replacing clinical decision support models that are a little slower, if you will, with some new updated models. But at the end of the day, anything in the clinical setting will move slow because the risk is so high. So they're looking at how AI can be applied to patient-provider communication. Great use case. It's right on the edge. It's right around the consumer experience. Very good use case. So I'll come back to that. The VA launches National Artificial Intelligence Institute. I pulled that out as a story just because I believe that many of us are going to have a lot of questions around artificial intelligence. It's good to set up, governance might be too strong a word, but some sort of group within your organization that's looking at the various ways that AI is going to be used. Start talking about the ethics of AI, start talking about the governance of AI within your organization. And maybe it is a governance body. Nobody wants another governance group, but maybe there's like a quarterly group that you can set up that is starting to explore those kind of things. I think that's the way you can be viewed as a forward-thinking leader without actually diving in and implementing everything and being the first one to hit your head against the wall. Let's see. A couple of articles I'm going to hit in detail. Mark Tarr's 2020 Healthcare Predictions Encompass Health, CEO, very good. I will come back to that. Digitization, democratization, deep learning will build healthcare for tomorrow. Shez Partovi from AWS, Amazon. Let me just hit that real quick, and then I will not come back to it, because the real highlight here was that Shez gives us the 3 things that people are looking for Amazon to do for them. The first is to predict patient health events or diseases. So bring all their data in, give them access to some higher level computing capabilities and algorithms. That's one of the things they're doing with Amazon. The second is to personalize, customize the consumer health journey. That is the digital front door. And then the third thing is promoting interoperability, and that is the liquidity of data. So those are the 3 things that Shez shared on this article that people are looking to do with Amazon, and that's really what I wanted to highlight from that story. Amazon also received or announced Lex, which is Alexa without the A's on either end, and it is to differentiate the platform, but it's their voice platform. It's Alexa, but it's Lex, and it's designed with HIPAA eligibility. So just something to keep in mind. Another one was, and this is just flat out a press release, but I like it. RX Review, which is a company I'm familiar with. I know the founders and Cerner work together to improve prescription price transparency for millions of patients. I highlight this because it hits on so many great topics. RX Review is a really good startup, been around for a while. Price transparency around prescriptions is something consumers are asking for. And then the last thing I would say is it just accentuates that Cerner is all in and moving fast. And so we will see how this plays out. This is sort of a pre-announcement more than anything. They're working together. They've decided to work together. I think it's a great area to work in. So this will give the price transparency data right there to the physician, so that they can help the patient navigate quicker. Let me see how much time we have left. Not much. All right. So let me. I'm going to end up going a little over here. What did I say I'd come back to? Said I'd come back to the HHS story. Let me hit that first. HHS. Here it is. HHS Cybersecurity. Here's the 2 things I'll highlight from this. Somebody asked from the audience, "You regulate us. Why would we talk with you?" He said, imagining a question, or actually, the speaker was talking about, why would you share that? And he said, he shared with them the U.S. subsection code, which holds that any non-federal organization that shares cyber threat indicators with an appropriate federal entity is deemed voluntary data sharing. That shared information cannot be further shared for specific regulatory purposes, he explained, meaning that HC3 will not report any vulnerability information shared. I highlight that because I didn't know that. So that is good to know, and it's a good partnership to have. Here's some of the active threats they have on the radar, which he shared, and I think it's worth looking at. In fact, this article is in Healthcare IT News. Virtual private network vulnerabilities, and he lists a bunch of them. The blues, Singleton pointed out there's ongoing vulnerabilities impacting Windows services. Bluekeep vulnerabilities affects Windows 7, 2008, 2003, XP, and embedded versions. Deja Blue, Eternal Blue, these are all things that are impacting the Windows environment. Something to take a look at, especially around RDP and other things like that. And then Urgent 11, as we have shown here, the vulnerability could impact real-time operating systems used for devices such as MRI machines, firewalls, and printers. There are more than 2 billion such RTDS services worldwide. I like this. When I was a CIO, I had access to consulting firms, which kept me updated on these things. Some of you may or may not be updated on these things. This gave me some specifics, and so I thought it was worthwhile in sharing those specifics with you. Healthcare IT News is where the story is. worth taking a look at. The headline again, it'll be in the show notes, but HHS cybersecurity leaders describe active threats on the agency's radar. So use case, let's go to the use case for Boston Children's. This has recently become a new focus area for leaders at Boston Children's Hospital, as they believe that while the patient care will see benefits from AI in the clinical settings over a long period of time, it can be also used in other aspects of the organization. For example, when implemented within patient-provider communication, AI and automation can eliminate the need for providers to ask routine questions, in turn fueling a more meaningful connection. I just wanted to highlight how I think it's cool to find those use cases that are close to the clinical setting, that are helping the clinicians, that are helping the patients to navigate. Very good use case. I highly recommend taking a look at that. If you know somebody at Boston Children's, reach out, hear what they're doing. Let me give you Mark Tarr's 2020 predictions, then we'll close with some really pragmatic things from David Muntz. So here are the I think it's like 6 or 8, 7 predictions. Again, Mark Tarr and Compass Health. The first, the use of AI and predictive analytics to drive outcomes will continue, but will only be successful when coupled with interventions. We talk about this all the time. AI, all these technology projects are becoming less and less technology projects and much more clinical operations projects and operations projects just flat out. And it's for that reason that I really like digital leaders being operational experts and people who understand. So when people bring in people from outside of healthcare, I like that because it gives us new thinking. But here's the aspect I don't like about it is I think they need to be tightly partnered with operational expertise, and the operational leaders need to almost be leading. So the people from outside the industry are helping us to see things a little different, but the operational leaders see things, how things can actually be done within healthcare, and that's what he's pointing out. Number 2, the shift to value-based care is not going away. That is true, but it's going slowly. Number 3, as the population gets older, the demand to age in place and live independently longer will also grow. Important business opportunity for a lot of health systems. Best Buy has seized on this, as we talked about last week. Payers will continue to see the value of inpatient rehabilitation for Medicare Advantage plan holders. Absolutely true. 2020 will be a transition year on the regulatory front for post-acute providers. A lot of details in this one, which are, payment models are changing, so forth and so on. So worth taking a look at. Here's something I did not know, because I don't follow this that closely, but Florida's repeal of its con law, which is the certificate of need law, which will open up new opportunities for growth. So this law has been in place for many years, and with it going away, the in-depth regulatory hurdles that are in Florida will dissipate and allow a lot more activity to happen within Florida. And expect some heated debates surrounding the future of healthcare. No kidding, and it's an election year, but Mark is correct in identifying that, because it is a significant thing. So in an election year, we will talk about healthcare in ways that are not going to be comfortable for us who are in the healthcare world. All right, let me hit my friend David Muntz's article. Here we go. 10 steps, view from the bridge. This is from the Starbridge Advisor site. David Muntz wrote this, 10 steps to prepare for 2020. Big challenges, bigger opportunities. Let's go through them real quick. And I might just grab David at some point early next year and talk about some of these things. But number 1, encourage innovation in normal processes. Challenge the status quo respectfully. This is one of David's big themes, is that we are part of a larger team and that we need to introduce things in a respectful manner. But we need to encourage innovation within the organization. It's one of our roles as technology leaders. The second is embrace AI cautiously. There's a lot of stuff happening in AI. We've talked about this earlier. But stand up the right groups so that you can start to have conversations around AI. Again, look at the black box, look at the ethics of it, look at how you're going to apply it, how you're going to bring it into the workflow, those kind of things. Number 3, address unhappiness with EHRs and other IT products and services. Poorly implemented HIT will continue to contribute to caregiver burnout if we don't make changes with a renewed sense of urgency. Again, I think that's a great point that David makes, that we still have a lot of stuff to clean up. We have tech debt, and then we have trust debt. We have to take care of that trust debt that we've built up over the years. Number 4, revisit your ERP implementation. I've heard this over and over again, and it's interesting that David brings it up. We ignored the ERPs for so many years because we were doing EHR, that it seems like they have gotten old, stale, and broken. So a lot of people are doing ERP projects right now. That has been a theme for 2019. I think it will continue to 2020. Number 5, implement and manage practical and pragmatic governance for data, information, and knowledge. This is a theme that David continues to drive home, which is standing up the right governance early on in your tenure as a healthcare IT leader is important, and it pays dividends over and over again. Set it up right. If you don't know how to set it up, bring in an organization to help you to identify the right way to set it up within your organization. The thing I'm hearing over and over again is too many meetings. So identify the right cadence for governance within your organization and the right participants. Number 6, address the increasingly important social determinants of health conversation. Absolutely, you need to address that. Keep in mind what I said earlier about SDOH, which is we have no way to pay for it yet. So while it's important to address, it's keep in mind what are the priorities of your organization specifically. Number 7, research outsourcing again. Very interesting. I am hearing this over and over and over again. You have organizations like BJC went to Tech Mahindra. You have Providence bought Blue Tree, and they are exploring aspects of really becoming an outsource partner, which they've been for many years, but they're exploring it in new ways, which I think is interesting. I'm just hearing a lot more talk. A lot of the stuff in the data center, as David points out here, has become commodity type services, and when things become commodity, you are able to outsource them. Number 8, protect the sacred trust with the patients and the families have placed you with. Absolutely. Number 9, earn your seat at the executive council. Digital services requires you to lead. It's not just support and enable. I heard that from CIOs over and over again. I'm not sure they said this strongly, but it came off this way. We don't lead. We just enable the organization. We support the organization. And one of the things I'm saying over and over again to the CIO leaders I coach and to the CIO leaders in the industry is, people are looking to us to make meaning of the world. How do we make meaning of the world? And so, how is digital going to play? What are the key digital technologies, and how are they important? How important is cybersecurity, and where should we be investing in cybersecurity? People have a million questions, and they're looking to us and saying, can you answer my questions? And when we sort of abdicate that role, they go out and hire somebody who can answer those questions, and you proceed to step back from that seat at the table. So it's important to know that we are being asked to make meaning of the world, and that is how you gain your seat at the table. When they're looking at a merger and they say, how will our digital strategy, how will our technology, how will that play? Not just, well, we have to bring the two HRs together and that's complex, but how are we going to knit together the advances we've made with our patients in this community with the advances we could make in this community? And how is our digital strategy different potentially for a rural community as it is for an urban community? Anyway, make meaning of the world for to earn your seat at the table. Then the final one is do a self-assessment. David rightfully points out, it's the end of the year. It's a great time to say, to look at a lot of things, to look at your life and say, am I in the right role? Am I doing the right things? Am I killing myself? I just had a great conversation with a former CIO who said, the job was killing him and he stepped down. And, it's an awful lot it's hard to do that. And there's an awful lot of wisdom in doing that and saying, is this the right role for me? But also evaluate, when you decide this is the right role for me, get re-energized for next year. Ask yourself the questions. What is my team looking for? What are the challenges what is our mission? Do we have a shared mission? Does everybody understand the mission? And are they aligned behind it? Is the communication right? That's it. We're going a little long for our last episode of the year, but you'll have a little bit more time to listen to it, I guess, at the end of the year. So that's all for this week. If you want to support the fastest growing podcast in the health IT space, here's a few ways you can do it. You can share it with a peer, sign up for Insight staff meeting on the website, and you can interact with our social media content, Twitter and LinkedIn predominantly. Post or repost our content is really helpful. And fill out the survey, thisweekinhealth.com/survey, or just send me feedback, bill@thisweekinhealthit.com. Love your feedback. It's very helpful. This show is a production of This Week in Health IT. For more great content, you can check out our website at thisweekhealth.com or the YouTube channel. Special thanks to our sponsors, VMware and HealthLyrics, for choosing to invest in developing the next generation of health leaders. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.